Standing by with Attorney General Roland Penner.
Kevin, we're expecting to see the Premier descend the stairs here any minute now. But in the meantime, I have Roland Penner here. Roland, congratulations on your own victory tonight.
Thank you very much.
There were certain campaign promises made in the area of law and order, in the area of child abuse programs, that sort of thing. When are we going to see those programs developed early on?
Oh, some of them are already developed, and we're going to really carry through our election promise with respect to assistance to victims of crime in a whole variety of ways, particularly with respect to elder abuse, where we will introduce legislation in the next session of the legislature to set up an office of a public guardian. We have a pilot project with respect to the abuse of the sexual abuse of children, a whole number of initiatives of that kind.
Okay, what about the abortion issue? Is that going to be a problem, a headache for the government in the next term?
I suppose it's a headache for any government. I suppose it's more of a headache for the federal government, whose law it is, than for us, but we do have to deal with the question of accessibility within the law and with upholding the law as it is. I would hope that the Supreme Court deals with that issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Roland Penner. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, turning our attention back for a moment to the riding of Springfield, where the NDP Cabinet Minister Andy Anstett currently is trailing. As Sandra Lewis indicated a few moments ago, there are still just 2 polls left to count. Now, one of them is a mail-in with 27 ballots. They won't be counting that one until tomorrow. The other ballot, or the other poll rather, has 160 ballots in it, but they are not going to count that one until they round up some scrutineers to watch that count. So depending on how that poll goes, we may not have Springfield decided until tomorrow when that mail-in ballot is counted. An absolutely incredible race in Springfield. Let's turn our attention now to the western part of the province where Ann Petrie is standing by in Dauphin. Ann?
Yeah, Kevin, we thought we might talk to you for a few seconds here about Roblin Russell, which has gone back and forth. It's really nice to know, isn't it, that the computer is not always right, because I believe early on in the evening it predicted NDP, then it went PC, or vice versa. Anyway, it is back to undecided. At the moment, Len Durkach is leading by 14 votes, trying to keep it for the PCs. Fred Embrick is trailing by 14 votes, and it's very interesting. The same thing that's happening in Springfield. Look who the spoiler is. It's the Liberal, taking 1,650 votes, which is not bad, but is making this race very, very close. We hope that the computer will decide soon. As far as we know, there's no mail-ins to come here. We'll be back to you as soon as we know the final results in Roblin Russell and see if that's another loss for the PCs. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Ann Petrie, and there's always a couple of ridings that keep you up rather late when we're talking about Roblin Russell here, and we're also talking on the west, and over on the east we have Springfield, which has yet to be determined as well. Paul Thomas, you know, we've been talking about an NDP victory here tonight, but you know, you take a look at the situation, and the NDP had 34 seats last time, 30 this time as it stands right now. I mean, it's not the kind of victory that they were hoping for.
Yeah, it depends partly on which perspective you adopt on the outcome tonight. If you look back 2 years ago in February of '84, when in the public opinion poll standing, they were 40 points behind the PCs back in February of 1984. So in that sense, it's been a quite remarkable political recovery. Everyone then was predicting their demise, that they were going to join the Lyon government as the second one-term government in Manitoba's history. So in that sense, they've crafted a very skillful recovery by essentially ducking controversial issues. The whole trick in a cabinet parliamentary system is to appear to be governing on the basis of a consensus. The opposition's job is to make it appear that you're not. Well,
we're talking about the gentleman who's at the helm of that government, Premier Howard Pauley, as he now arrives at NDP party headquarters at Le Rendezvous in the St. Boniface area of Winnipeg. Premier Howard Pauley somewhere in that throng. There he is. And of course in the background, Ross Weatherford trying to get to Premier Pauley right now. And again, as was Gary Philman, he's rather anxious to look at the phalanx of people protecting Howard Pauley, ushering him up to the stage. And clearly, Howard Pauley wishes to talk to the NDP supporters who are gathered at Le Rendezvous, and we hope to be able to have an interview with the Premier after his speech to the people who are gathered at the NDP party. The rock music that you hear in the background, Paul Thomas, you being a rock fan and all, that was the NDP theme, one of them during this campaign.
They had one of the slickest commercials featuring rock musicians. Somebody estimated that was worth $50,000 to produce that one commercial.
Now, you've got to wonder what is going through Howard Pawley's mind at this point in time. A very bittersweet combination of emotions tonight. On the personal side, of course, the loss of his father just yesterday. A man who did much to encourage Howard Pawley to enter politics.
They have some challenges ahead of him.
Thank you, New Democrats. Thank you, Manitobans. You would never have believed 18 months ago that we would be here to celebrate this evening. We gather here, my friends, to celebrate a victory for the New Democratic Party, a victory for Manitobans, and a victory for the political process. When I started this campaign 35 days ago, I said we would have to run hard, and we did, and we won. We gather here this evening to celebrate a job well done, and more important, to commit ourselves to the future. This has been a good campaign. It has been a tough campaign, a hard-fought campaign. To the thousands of women and men across this province that have given so much of themselves during the past 35 days, I say thank you. This election was won in committee rooms across this province. It was won on the doorsteps. It was won in the living rooms, in the farmyards of Manitoba. You took our vision to your friends and to your neighbors. You talked about the issues, and my friends, you talked about the future. You showed courage. You showed conviction. You showed dedication. You shared your pride in Manitoba with your neighbors and with your friends. And those neighbors and those friends, they responded. To all of you and to all Manitobans, I say thank you. There are some people that I would like to thank this evening. My family, Adele, Chris, and Cherise, the three most important people in my life, the three people who, without their support and without their encouragement, I would not be here this evening to share this moment with you. My parents, my mother, whose strength and whose will has been so important to me, my father, who always encouraged my interest, involvement in politics, and my one sadness is that he was unable to be with me this evening to share this victory with you. I would like to thank the people who traveled with me, the ones who stayed behind to ensure that we would always arrive where we should and when we ought to. The people who worked on developing our platform, and those over the past 35 days made sure that we got that platform to the people of Manitoba. To all the people of Provincial office, in the envoy room, the men and women who staffed the Labour phone bank, those who worked so hard in the ethnic campaign, New Democrats from across Canada who gave of themselves to us in Manitoba. A special thanks to the 56 men and women who ran with me as New Democrat candidates. There are no losers among you. Without the hard work and the dedication of each and every one of you, there would have been no victory. I share the disappointment of those who were not elected, just as I know that they this evening share the joy of the victory that we celebrate here this evening. Each of you and the hundreds of other men and women who stood today as candidates can be proud of the role that you have played in maintaining and strengthening the New Democratic Party in the province of Manitoba. It is a system we must never take for granted. And as we watch events around the world, we cannot help but feel the greatest victory we celebrate tonight is that of the democratic process. Gary Philman and Sharon Carstairs, you can be proud this evening that you represented your parties well. You displayed a genuine concern and a commitment to the people of Manitoba and to their future. You have shown the highest respect and care for the democratic process. Manitobans, you have given me and my government a mandate. What, however, is important is how that strength is used. The difference between a government and a province that is truly great and one that is merely powerful is the simple things: honesty, knowing right from wrong, openness, self-respect, the courage that comes with conviction. Manitoba is such a province, and we shall have such a government. We will continue to be a government committed to the well-being of people. A vision in which all Manitobans can participate. A vision that has room to ensure that the benefits are shared equitably and fairly amongst all Manitobans. A vision where those who require encouragement shall receive assistance and help. You have told me tonight that you share that vision, that you have told me tonight that you expect a government that will continue to create jobs, to build long-term economic strength. You have told me that you expect a government committed to the farm and to rural communities. You have told me that you expect a government that will work towards a better and a fair and more decent Manitoba. And you have told me tonight, my friends, that you want a government that will stand up for the province of Manitoba and for Manitobans. This is the mandate of the new government, and I accept it with pleasure and with conviction. And I ask you tonight, I ask Manitobans right across this province of ours, workers, small business people, natives, new Canadians, men and women from Roblin to Russell to Churchill, from Winnipeg to Cross Lake, join with me, work with me to ensure that our vision of the province of Manitoba becomes a reality. We worked hard together, my friends, over the past 4 years to build this province. That same kind of cooperation, that same hard work will be essential in ensuring that we continue in building our future together. It will not be easy. There will be difficult challenges. There will be tough decisions to make. But together we will meet those challenges together. Manitoba, we will build our future together. My friends, thank you for joining with me tonight and my family. Thank you for coming together as New Democrats. Thank you for sharing our vision together as we move forward in the next 4 years to ensure that in this province of ours, we create a future that is more equitable, more decent, more honest, more fair for all men and women everywhere in this province. Thank you very much.
Premier Howard Pauley, having just delivered his victory speech, returning for his second term as Premier of Manitoba, surrounded by his family, his wife Adele, and children Chris and Charisse. And again, one has to wonder, this family has gone from one extreme of emotions to the other in 24 very short hours. And Adele Pauley, always said to be a bit of... Let's listen to what Adele has to say.
Lapel. It's a little pin that was given to me by a member of the public when we held open house at the Manitoba Legislature in the early part of December. And it reads, "I'm back by popular demand."
Adele Pauley, never one to be particularly shy. In fact, it's said that she's the real power behind Howard.
Yes, she's often given credit for talking to Howard last and therefore shaping his opinion the most. And so his people who work with Howard Pauley admire him greatly. They admit that he's not the most inspiring public speaker, that he does occasionally utter malapropisms and so on, but they love the man. They're really devoted to him.
Well, we hope to be having an interview with the Premier in a few very short moments. First of all, though, you saw Andy Anstett standing by with our John Drabble in Springfield constituency, and he's not celebrating yet. Is that fair to say, John?
Yes, it is fair to say, Kevin. Mr. Anstett, you didn't come in here a victor, but you're not conceding defeat yet.
Well, I think it's too close to call. It's really not over until it's over.
Did you expect it to be this close?
No, I didn't, but under these circumstances, you take elections as they come. They're always horse races, and Springfield's always been a tight fight, always been a difficult one, and I think that's reflected in the result tonight. But certainly, for all intents and purposes, it's a dead heat right now, and we have the advance poll and the mail-in to come.
In your opinion, were the Liberals the spoilers in this riding?
I think it's too early to say. I haven't even had a chance to look at the poll-by-poll results. I was watching CBC, so I don't really know what the poll-by-poll results are, and I can't tell you where gains were made or losses occurred at this point.
We have 2 polls left. There's about 200 votes to be counted. Are you prepared to make a prediction?
Well, I think there's 168 and 12, which would be 180. I think that could cause the result to go either way, and I think we'll have to await those 2 polls.
Would it be safe to say there's going to be a recount in any case?
Well, I think the law requires that if there's a margin of 50 or less, that there's an automatic recount. So we may not know till tomorrow. We may not know for several weeks.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Anstett.
Thank you.
Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks very much, John Drabble. And of course, Andy Anstett knows the rules of the game very well, a former assistant clerk of the Manitoba Legislature. And we now understand, word from Springfield is that final poll will not actually be counted until about 11 o'clock. That's a half an hour from now. Coming up in this next half hour on our coverage of Election 86, a complete overview of what happened. For those of you who have just tuned in and want to know what has happened in your individual constituency, we'll have that for you, and why you made it happen the way it did in Manitoba tonight. Welcome back to 24 Hours Election 86. If you haven't yet heard, let me be the first to tell you, it's a majority vote in favor of the new Democratic Party. NDP candidates are elected or leading in 30 ridings. Conservatives are elected or leading in 26 ridings. The Liberal Party has captured 1 seat. Sharon Carstairs virtually swept through River Heights. The total vote in Manitoba tells you just how close it has been. Ballot for ballot, it was a squeaker. And even now, that is reflected in the standings for Springfield and Roblin Russell, both still undecided. There you have the picture in Springfield, with those 2 polls we told you about still to report, one of them being a mail-in ballot, and that won't even be counted until tomorrow. And the other one will be counted, hopefully, within a half an hour's time. In Roblin Russell, again, a squeaker where we have the Conservatives hoping to retain that seat that was Wally McKenzie's before he decided to retire. And a very, very close race in Roblin Russell. You know, there were a number of seats that the NDP thought they were confident of taking, and they sort of were hedging a little bit on Roblin Russell.
Yeah, Roblin Russell was, I guess, up in the range of 35 or 36. They thought that if they went that high that they might pick up Roblin Russell. So it's a bit surprising that it's that close tonight, given the fact that they haven't swept into some of the other areas where they expected to do better. Just reflecting on watching Mr. Anstett there, he looked tired. That has been a really, really tough race out there. They've had more all-candidates meetings than any riding in this province, and that's a very extensive, very large geographical riding to cover. I know he's worked very hard, and he was out of commission for 2 weeks with a very serious cold.
And he didn't want anybody to know about that.
Yes.
Well, the secret's out now, Andy Anstett. All right, we are going to be joined right now with Premier Howard Pauley, who is standing by at the party at Le Rendezvous. Mr. Premier, congratulations to you tonight, and our condolences, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Mr. Pauley, first of all, it has been said that you had your own cabinet document that said the way to come back from 40 points down in the polls in February of 1984 was to lay low, was to avoid all issues of controversy. In this next term of government, is that the kind of government Howard Pauley wants to lead?
Well, first, Kevin, I don't think it can be said that we did lay low in all areas of controversy. Let me just give you one example, the issue of extra billing, which is now a very keen issue in the province of Ontario. We dealt with that issue, and we dealt with it in the last session.
But you know there were a lot of controversial issues such as discrimination against homosexuals that you guys didn't want to go close to with a 10-foot pole.
Well, Kevin, I think that what Manitobans wanted was good government. They wanted government that would deal with the economy, with jobs, with preserving, with improving the health services of the province of Manitoba, with community services. Those are the issues that Manitobans wanted us to deal with. We did deal with those issues.
Premier Pauley, it's Paul Thomas at Election Control
Paul.
here. It's been said that this has been a relatively easy campaign. One of your advisors said that you ran a textbook-style campaign. Were there any moment in the campaign, apart from your personal difficulties in the last few days, when you felt that things weren't going right for you? Was there any low point in the campaign?
Actually not, except in the last few days. As you mentioned, the personal tragedies that I felt the last few days. Outside of that, things did go along as we had anticipated, Paul.
Mr. Premier, your popular vote is down by our tabulation by about 5.5%. You're now down to about 41%. Does that concern you, and how do you account for it?
That is pretty well the traditional vote that we've received outside of 1981, and between the period 79 to 77, it varied from 38 to 43%. I think that basically that's a fairly good vote as far as winning party is concerned in government in the province of Manitoba.
You do not then interpret, or you do not subscribe to the school of thought that the increase in the Liberal